Before beginning the installation of the HotBox, you will need to disconnect the battery. The tools needed to install the Z1 HotBox include a No. 2 Phillips head screwdriver, a 10mm open-end wrench, and a 10mm socket and ratchet. The first step is to attach the included bracket to the HotBox enclosure using the provided Phillips head screws. Leave the screws a little bit loose so that you can check fitment. The next step is to remove this bolt, located next to the driver's side fender using the 10mm socket and ratchet. Once removed, you can place the HotBox enclosure and bracket assembly in place to check for clearance on either side of the connector. The plug on the wiring harness is wider than the receiving connector in the HotBox, so make sure there is room for the plug. Once fitment has been checked, tighten the 3 screws holding the bracket to the enclosure. With the screws tightened, you can now bolt the enclosure and bracket to the vehicle using the 10mm bolt removed earlier. Make sure to slide the enclosure toward the fender before tightening this bolt to ensure there is enough room for the wiring harness to plug into the HotBox. Tighten the 10mm bolt using the open-ended wrench, being careful not to round off the head of the bolt, as there is not a lot of room to get a good purchase on the bolt head with the wrench. With the HotBox mounted to the vehicle, you can now install the wiring harness. The large 12-pin plug should be routed underneath the AC line and then connected to the HotBox. Next, unplug the factory connector from the T-map sensor on the driver's side charge air cooler. Connect the factory T-map plug to the connector labeled J6. Then plug the connector labeled J5 into the T-map sensor. Repeat this process for the T-map sensor on the passenger side charge air cooler. Connect J4 to the factory T-map plug and J3 to the passenger side T-map sensor. Reconnect the battery and enjoy your additional horsepower and torque.